blame somebody else for what's going on in my life, and I'm all about it. But here is the problem with being a victim. There's just one thing that gets in the way, that ruins the whole mess. Nothing changes if all you ever are is a victim. I mean, come on, close your eyes right now. Admit you're a victim. Say this, everything that's going on, every challenge you've got, I don't care what it is, blame somebody else for it, preferably your significant other or your husband, because it probably is their fault. Now open your eyes. The problem is nothing changed. When you are a victim, it's the end of the story. When you blame somebody else or a situation, you give all your power away. And we don't want this to be the end of the story. We want this conference to be the beginning. In the early 90s, I took my first job in banking. I was hired by First Citizens Bank to be their first female commercial banker. At the time, I was one of only 3 female senior leaders in the company. In addition to that, I was the first senior leader, let alone the first female, to be hired into this company without banking experience. I had been recruited from the healthcare industry. I was the chief operating officer of a large healthcare firm. And having come from healthcare, I was used to working with women. I'd been around female role models, female peers, female team members. And all of a sudden, I found myself in a sea of men. Men who most of them had a big old chip on their shoulder that I hadn't earned my way up through the ranks of banking. I hadn't earned my stripes. Now, in fairness to them, I was a duck out of water. See, my boss, who was an innovative visionary, had hired me because of what I knew about business and business growth. I was well connected and I could sell. That's why he brought me in. And he believed that what I lacked in banking knowledge, I could learn. But what I had in business expertise, you couldn't teach. And quite frankly, let's admit it. I was hired because I was a woman. They needed one. Now, I knew that my boss was right, that I could learn this stuff. Intellectually, I knew he was a visionary. But emotionally, and from a confidence perspective, I'm going to tell you, I was struggling. I was used to being at the top of my game, the go-to person. And this whole having to back up and be dumb and having to start all over, it was not working for me. And working with women, now, I will admit, can have its issues. We can have drama on occasion. But it paled in comparison to the hazing that I was taking from these guys. This felt more like joining a fraternity than it did like joining a bank. And every day I wanted to quit. But I didn't. I got right back up, did what I needed to do, and walked right back in to the office. I was determined I was going to make it. Until that day. That fateful day. I was in a meeting with my peers, about 600 of us, and we were discussing new policies and procedures as it relates to lending. It was a fascinating meeting. About halfway through the discussion, the executive vice president who was leading the meeting started to talk about passive income. And he innocently called on me and asked me my thoughts and my opinions on passive income as it relates to the lending process. Now, I had been on the job a month. I had been 1 week into my first lending class. I not only really didn't know what passive income was, I had no thought and no So with every ounce of courage I had, I stood up, and in a room full of 600 people, I admitted I had no clue. You could hear the snickers. You could hear the, told you, we shouldn't have hired her. The worst was the pity. That was the worst. The people who wanted me to make it felt my embarrassment and my shame. Somehow, I made it through the rest of the meeting, understandably blew off the networking event, and ran as fast as I could into my car. As soon as I shut the door in my automobile, I burst out crying. I had a headache. I cussed and I screamed at every human being I could think of that had put me in that situation. How could my boss let me walk into something like that? Why did he not tell that EVP that I didn't know what was going on? All the way home, I cried and complained. By the time I hit my driveway, that was it. I was done. I was quitting. Whew. Confident in my decision? Slept like a baby. I got up the next morning, practicing my resignation speech. It was going to sound a little like, take this job and shove it. Then I stepped into the shower. And I don't know if it was cold water or a great night's sleep, but all of a sudden, my paradigm started to shift. I thought, was I really going to quit a job because I didn't know the definition of passive income? It's kind of stupid. I mean, really, I could learn that, right? Could look it up. And why was I giving so much power to this little group of guys that didn't support me? I mean, in all honesty, they were a group of nerds. I would not have talked to them in high school. Why was I not focused on all those people who did support me? It's not true. Anybody worked at that game? They're nerds. Yeah. Why was I not focused on those people who did support me? And why was I so focused on what I didn't know? And not focusing on what I did know. And right there on that day, right in that shower in 249 Briarcliff Road, I made a choice. I made the choice to thrive. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. It's not easy. But if right here, right now, you make that choice, Angela and her team have put together 2 days that are going to show you exactly how to do it. So I want to ask you, who in here wants to make the choice to thrive? Who in here wants 2014, 2015 to be the best years you have ever had on record? I do. Then you need to simply make the choice. If you make the choice, you're going to take your business, your career to the next level. And in addition to that, you're going to enjoy the process. So welcome to the trust and value economy, because this is an economy where you need to make a choice. You need to make that choice to thrive. Because this economy isn't down. What it is